Welcome to Brule Media. There's something I find so inspiring about women who see a problem and instead of just complaining about it, they roll up their sleeves and build the solutions themselves. 23 years ago, Reese Witherspoon played Elle Woods, a sorority girl who proved everyone wrong by going to Harvard Law. In November 2025, Reese came back to Harvard, but this time as herself, speaking at Harvard Business School about how she built a $900 million media empire, life imitating art in the best possible way. But here's what some people may not know. Even after producing three massively successful projects, Wild, Gone Girl, Big Little Lies, projects that made over $600 million and earned Emmy and Oscar nominations, Reese barely made enough money to keep going. That's when she completely reinvented her approach. Today, we're diving into the story of Hello Sunshine, how one strategic conversation led her to leverage streaming platforms when they needed her most and build a $900 million media empire. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's talk about it. Let's go back to around 2012. Reese is at the top of her game. She's won an Oscar for the movie Walk the Line, and she's getting scripts left and right. But here's the thing, she keeps getting offered the same type of roles: the wife, the girlfriend, the woman who exists to support the male character story. And Reese is sitting there thinking, wait, where are all the complex, interesting roles for women? So in 2012, she co founded a production company called Pacific Standard with producer Bruna. And right out of the gate, they produced Gone Girl and Wild, two films centered on complicated, fascinating women. Wild even earned Reese another Oscar nomination. Here's what made this really smart. She wasn't just producing movies, she was buying the rights to books, stories that already had built in audiences. As Reese said recently, she could either admire the problem of not having good roles or come up with a solution to fix it. And that mindset, that was everything. Then in 2017, they produced Big Little Lies for HBO. The show was a massive hit, critical darling, Emmy Awards, and cultural phenomenon. From the outside, it looked like Reese had figured it all out: award winning content, box office success, Emmy wins. But here's the problem with the traditional Hollywood producer model: you get a small fee up front, maybe some back end participation if the project is wildly profitable, but you don't build real wealth. You don't own anything. And that's exactly what Reese was experiencing. So in 2016, Reese made a strategic decision. She's going to start fresh with a completely different approach. She meets with Seth Rotsky, who runs a private equity firm called Strand Equity. And Seth asks her a simple question: what do you own? And Reese explains, actors don't historically own their characters. Producers get fees, maybe some back end participation, but they don't own the IP, also known as intellectual property. Seth tells Reese, this is a really interesting time. Streaming studios need you more than you need them. This was late 2016. Netflix was spending billions on content. Amazon had just launched Prime Video. Hulu was wrapping up originals. Apple was about to enter the game. They were all fighting over content, stars, and IP. Seth helped Reese create a business plan. Not just let's make good shows, but a real business plan with leverage, ownership, and enterprise value. So in November 2016, they launched Hello Sunshine. It was a joint venture, Reese, Seth, and a media company called Otter Media. Sarah Harden was the president of Otter Media, one of the investors. She helped structure the deal from the investment side. They hired Carrie Tucker as the first CEO and launched with just a few employees, but Carrie left within the year. And in 2017, Sarah made a bold move. She left Otter Media to become the CEO of Hello Sunshine. Sarah wasn't just an investor anymore, she was all in. She became Reese's partner and mentor in building a real media company. Together, they started executing the vision that Seth had helped them create, and Reese was clear about her role. She knew storytelling, books, talent, and community building. Sarah knew how to run a company, scale operations, and negotiate complex deals. And that's when they really activated the secret weapon, Reese's Book Club. Okay, here's where it really gets smart. They created what's called a flywheel, a self reinforcing business model. Step 1, Reese picks a book for her book club and posts about it on Instagram. The book immediately hits bestseller lists. That little sticker that says Reese's Book Club pick becomes one of the most powerful marketing tools in publishing. Authors are thrilled, publishers love it, and Hello Sunshine, they're securing the adaptation rights, and in this time, they own the IP. Step 2, they attach talent, actresses who wanted to work on female driven stories. Step 3, they go to market, they reach out to several streaming platforms and say, which one of you wants this? They create a bidding war. But here's the key, they also say, we're going to break precedent. We have terms you've never agreed to before. Those terms include ownership. Hello Sunshine wasn't just getting paid to make content, they were keeping a stake in what they created. Every show they produced became an asset. The Hello Sunshine brand became more valuable with each success. The shows they produce, The Morning Show for Apple TV, Little Fires Everywhere for Hulu, Daisy Jones and the Six for Amazon, Big Little Lies Season 2 for HBO, they weren't just good shows, they were cultural moments. People talked about them at work, they dominated social media, they drove subscriptions. And they didn't stop at TV, podcasts, audiobooks. Every adaptation of that original book IP generated another revenue stream. And then the flywheel kept spinning faster and faster. Each success made the next deal easier. Each hit show proved its model worked. The book club kept feeding the pipeline with new proven IP. And remember, this was 2017 to 2020, peak streaming wars, platforms were desperate for content. Hello Sunshine's timing was perfect. They got unprecedented terms because they understood their leverage and they weren't afraid to use it. So in August 2021, a media company backed by the investment firm Blackstone bought a majority stake in Hello Sunshine. The reported price, around $900 million, though some reports say closer to $400 million, depending on how the deal was structured. Think about that timeline. From November 2016 to August 2021, less than 5 years. From 4 employees struggling to make it work to a company valued at hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's what I love. Reese didn't just take the money and walk away. She stayed on, she kept creative control, she's still running the book club, still producing, and still building. And in November 2025, she was at Harvard Business School, full circle from Elle Woods, going to Harvard Law, talking to the next generation of entrepreneurs about storytelling, leverage, ownership, and business. She built something that mattered to her, that served an underserved audience, that solved a real problem in Hollywood, and that turned into a massive financial success and true financial independence. So what can we take away from Reese's story? Whether you are building a business, a brand, or just thinking about your next career move. First, you can either focus on the problem or create the solution. Stop complaining about what's not working and start building what should exist. Second, ask the right questions and find mentors who know what you don't. Seth asked, "What do you own?" and changed her entire approach. Sarah taught her how to scale a media company. Surround yourself with people smarter than you in areas where you are weak. Third, understand your leverage and timing. Seth told her the streaming platforms need you more than you need them. That insight changed everything. What's the power dynamic in your industry right now? Where do you have leverage you are not using? Fourth, own your assets, not just labor. The question, what do you own, should haunt you in a good way. Are you building equity or just earning fees? Are you creating assets or just trading time for money? Fifth, leverage what makes you unique. Reese has a gift for knowing which books will become popular. She has authentic relationships with talent. What do you have that others don't? And six, build a flywheel, not just one off wins. Each book fed the next show, each show strengthened the brand, each success made the next deal easier. How can your business model be self reinforcing? How can success compound? I just think there's something really powerful about this story. Reese could have looked at the traditional Hollywood model and said, "This is just how it works." Instead, she questioned it. She found the right partners, she understood the moment, she built unprecedented terms into her deals, and she did it with intention. This wasn't luck, this was strategy. This was understanding leverage, timing, and value creation. And honestly, that's what great businesses look like. All right, that's the story of Hello Sunshine, from questioning the traditional model to a $900 million exit by understanding leverage, timing, and ownership. I'd love to know, what brand or business should I break down next? Restoration Hardware, Magnolia, Summer Fridays? Drop your suggestions in the comments. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the intersection of pop culture and business strategy, subscribe to Brule Media. We've got so many more stories to explore together. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.